Throughout the Cold War and the decades that followed, America's most vital allies were familiar names: Britain, Germany, Japan, South Korea, nations with large economies, large militaries, and a shared ideological commitment to the liberal democratic order. But the world of 2026 is not the world of 1945. The threats have shifted north. The technology has evolved, and the alliance that may matter most to American national security is one that barely registers in the public imagination: Finland. To understand why, you have to start with the number 40. That's how many icebreakers Russia operates. These vessels aren't just transportation, they're instruments of sovereignty. They can project power, control shipping lanes, and access resources across the northern sea route as climate change makes it increasingly navigable. The United States, by contrast, operates a handful of aging vessels, with its last heavy icebreaker built more than 2 decades ago. The industrial base that once produced these ships has vanished. And here's where Finland enters the frame. In October 2025, President Alexander Stubb traveled to Washington and signed a memorandum of understanding with President Donald Trump that will see Finnish shipyards build 4 icebreakers for the U.S. Coast Guard. With American shipyards constructing up to 7 more using Finnish designs and expertise, this is the first time the United States has ever built icebreakers in another country. Let that sink in. A nation that prides itself on self-reliance, on maintaining its own defense industrial base, is outsourcing a critical military capability to a country of 5.6 million people. Why? Because Finland builds the best icebreakers in the world. And in the Arctic, best isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. But the icebreaker deal, dramatic as it is, represents just one layer of this deepening relationship. Look at the technology sector. In February 2026, Finnish Minister for Foreign Trade and Development Tavio traveled to Washington specifically to expand cooperation on 5G and 6G networks. The United States is locked in a technological Cold War with China over who will define the next generation of telecommunications. Finland, home to Nokia and a world-class tech ecosystem, is a critical partner in that fight. Tavio put it plainly. Finland has considerable technological, machinery, and equipment expertise, which may also benefit the United States. This isn't charity, it's mutualism. The United States needs Finnish technology to stay ahead of China. Finland needs American markets and investment to sustain its innovation economy. And both need each other to build the infrastructure, both physical and digital, that will define the 21st century. Now add the defense dimension. Since 2016, the United States, Finland, and Sweden have operated under a trilateral statement of intent to enhance interoperability in the Baltic Sea region. Finland has been designated an enhanced opportunities partnered by NATO since 2014, the alliance's highest tier of partnership before membership. And since formally joining in 2023, Finland has integrated its forces into NATO's command structure with remarkable speed. The new Forward Land Force unit in Lapland, inaugurated in late 2025, will oversee land operations and defense across the wider Arctic region in times of crisis. This isn't symbolic, it's operational. Here's the geopolitical reality that makes Finland indispensable. It is simultaneously a frontline state and a model of resilient normalcy. Since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Finland has fundamentally reoriented its security posture. Public support for NATO membership, which hovered around 20% for decades, skyrocketed to over 70%. The accession process took less than a year, the fastest in NATO's history. And now, Finnish intelligence officers work alongside American counterparts to track Russian naval activity in the Baltic. Finnish troops train with American forces in the Arctic. Finnish airspace integrates with NATO's air policing mission. But unlike some other frontline states, Finland brings more than just geography. It brings capability. The Finnish military is built on universal conscription, maintaining a wartime strength of 280,000 troops, one of the largest in Europe relative to population. Its artillery is among the most modern on the continent. Its cyber defense units are world-class, and its understanding of hybrid warfare, honed through decades of managing a difficult neighbor, is now being shared across the alliance through the European Center of Excellence for Countering Hybrid Threats in Helsinki. And yet, this is the fascinating part. Finland is not a passive or uncritical ally. At the Munich Security Conference in February 2026, President Stubb delivered what can only be described as a wake-up call to Europe. He acknowledged that the United States, under its current leadership, is operating from a different ideological framework, one that conflicts with our own values. He pointed specifically to America's tendency to undermine international institutions and downplay Europe's importance. But here's the key. He said this while simultaneously reaffirming Finland's commitment to the alliance. This is the mature partnership that America needs in 2026, not a satellite state that nods along, but a capable, confident ally that speaks honestly while delivering where it matters. Finland doesn't need to pretend that everything is fine. It just needs to ensure that when the ice freezes and the ships need to move and the troops need to deploy, it's ready. And America, for its part, needs exactly that kind of partner, one that will tell the truth while holding the line. So why does America need Finland more than any ally since World War II? Because the defining conflict of the coming decades will be fought in conditions that America cannot master alone. The Arctic is not the beaches of Normandy or the jungles of Vietnam. It is a frozen, unforgiving expanse where metal cracks and machinery fails, and only those who have lived there for centuries know how to survive. Finland has that knowledge. Finland has that industry. And Finland, despite its differences with Washington, has the trust required to build something lasting. The United States has spent the post-war era building alliances based on shared threats and shared values. With Finland, the shared threat is clear: a revisionist Russia seeking to redraw borders and reopen frozen conflicts. The shared values, while real, are increasingly complicated by America's internal debates. But the shared capability that is undeniable. And in a world where capability increasingly defines influence, Finland may be the most important ally America never expected to need. The ice is melting, the great powers are maneuvering, and at the center of it all stands a small Nordic nation with frozen harbors, world-class shipyards, and the quiet confidence of a people who have spent a millennium learning to survive the cold. For America, that's not just useful, it's irreplaceable.